Hello everyone, welcome to Roots to Wings with Vishakha, a series where we explore journeys that shape people. From their beginnings to the defining moment which guide them to who they become. The idea is simple. Our roots, the experiences, the choices and the values we carry help us to grow the wings to achieve more. And today, I'm delighted to be hosting someone who is known for his leadership, humility and enthusiasm. And that shows through the way he leads. Let's welcome Anish Chandy, Country Head for AI Business Solutions, Microsoft India. Hi Anish, thank you so much for joining. And how are you doing today?
Very good, Vishakha, and thanks for the session. Yeah, usual some calls started off today, but yeah, feeling all bright and shiny day today.
Great. Anish, I would like to start on a personal note. You know, there are many different ways that we can introduce ourselves, but I want you to do it in a way your best friend would. That would be outside your LinkedIn headline, outside your job title, but a little bit more personal and elaborated version of who Anish really is.
Well, yeah, not often we get to think about that. Yes. So, you know, basically someone who cares for people around you.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody who is affable, can listen in, can can call, somebody can call me any time of the day or night. I think that's me.
That's great. I think I have heard it from everybody around me and at work. And you know, the one thing which always comes up about you is you're there for people no matter what situation, or if it is around tech, personal, professional, anywhere, you're just there. And thank you so much for being that way. And this is such a great insight about you. And one more thing, I think if your friends are also calling that, that's the most candid and the generous way to examine ourselves, because we experience in a different way and people see us in a very different way. Anish, that gets me to my next question. Is there any one specific memory or incident from past that shaped you as a person and it stayed with you to who you are today?
You know, if I have to look at for that moment, right, it's about being humble. And this is not about to mistake, right? In corporate, you need to have what is called as a constructive tension. You need to, working in metrics organization, you need to be demanding of what you feel is right. But there are ways to be humble about it. That's kept me grounded a lot, and that's probably the way probably I was, the upbringing, you know, in a middle class family that I was born and brought up, and possibly, you know, the early days of my life which taught me some of those values.
Oh, such a beautiful way to describe it, and I'm glad it stayed with you. And definitely you called it out, but this makes me even more curious about what kind of an environment you grew up in, because we see you here at work. We never know about anybody that we work with, from where they're coming from. And I would like to know, Anish, what kind of a overall environment, the school, family, community you grew up in, and how it shaped your thought process?
Well, I was born and brought up in Cochin. It's probably one of those very unique cities where it was nestled in colonial rule for 300, 400 years. You know, came the Portuguese, then the Dutch, and then the British, and a lot of my first 20 years of my life, I was born and brought up there. What it also meant is, Cochin being one of the earliest trade hubs in India, it is a big mix of ethnicity. About 32 ethnicity lives there in about 10 square kilometers. So from all parts of India, you know, all the way to Yemen, and there are still reminiscence of those people out there, whether it is the Jews, the Chinese nets that came 1,100 years back into Cochin, which still remains. So a lot of history, and because of trade, there has been a lot of people who moved from different parts of India, probably one of the earliest cosmopolitan cities in India. For example, the road that I live, where my family house is, it's called the Gujarati Road because I'm surrounded by a lot of my Gujarati friends as neighbors and schoolmates. And so was from every parts of India, from Kashmir, from Punjab, from Calcutta. So I grew up in a place where I learned a lot of culture, I learned of a lot of people, a little bit of my Hindi. Of course, I'm still bad at my grammar, but I picked a lot of my Hindi. Though I did my CBSE, till 10th, I learned Hindi, but it's more of the spoken Hindi that I had the fortune of talking to my friends as I grew up. Yes, so I studied in a school called the 𝗙𝙠𝙤. It's a CBSE school. The good part of that school is the building. The first building is about 200 years old, built by the Dutch, and the view outside my classroom window is of the Chinese nets. So I can't ask for a better a setting for my school. I did 14 years in the same school from LKG to 12th. I then went and did my engineering. I took up my engineering in electronics and communication, and that was my early life. If I can put it.
That sounds so diverse, and now I can completely understand where your business angle is coming into you. You said there's a street where all your Gujarati friends are staying, so that's completely take me to that one. So Anish, nowadays when kids are growing up, technology is integral part of their day-in-day activity, even though they are in the friend circle, family, home, school, everywhere. How was it for you? Was there technology influence while you're growing up? And if not, how did you stay curious and landed where you are today?
Well, technology has been probably early part of my, my high school, right? I started picking on computers. I was fortunate to have school, studied in a school where we had computers, of course. It was those big floppy disks and Pascal and Fortran that I studied then. But when I moved into my college and, towards my last year, we would do a lot of projects and I was keen to know, and then electronics was still the big thing, not yet computers. So I was one of that who, went and subscribed Electronics for You. I don't know how many of you know EFY. I don't know if you know Vishakha about it.
Not really.
So that was the earliest known magazine in India. Of course, there was no internet. There's nothing else to read from.
Yes.
So Electronics for You was something that I would, whenever I was commuting to college, go to that book stand in the railway station and get a copy and devour into it. So that's where I started being there. I still remember for the final year, mobile handsets were just coming into India. Yes, the cost of outgoing was still 32 rupees a minute. I went and grabbed a phone for the college fest for a few days from a friend of mine and said, hey, I'm borrowing it.
Right.
It was probably, something that I thought you need to be always doing something at the cutting edge.
No, I think that sounds interesting. Even I feel if we don't have everything at our fingertips, it makes us more curious, resourceful, and I see that looking into magazines, talking to a friend, borrowing just mobile for a day or two, that must be the most curiosity level that you must have reached there. Coming to that point, Anish, was there any person or incident or experience, because sometimes it happens so that we experience tech in different genre, and that's when we realize, yes, this is what I want to do. Was there such a moment in your life where around technology or leadership or business that strike the interest in it?
Well, as a greenhorn out of college, right, I didn't wait for my results. I said, I've done computers, but it was probably, the command line interface, right? The GUI was absolutely new to me. I said, let me go enroll myself into a course at SSI, and SSI was probably one of those, it's not there anymore. It was like the the early days computer coaching centers, like Aptech and NIT. And I said, there's a new new branch opened up in Cochin. Let me just go enroll myself. And I still remember it was an hour and a half class every day, but I used to just sit through the day to just see what's
Oh my
there.
God.
I still remember when I landed my small job. The first job was a very small job. I said, well, I'll get to that, but let me go do something in the morning. So probably that's where I felt that technology is important first to understand, and the best way to understand is just deep dive into it. So I still remember how I did my CNA, which is, I don't know if many people know, CNA was Certified Novel Administrator.
Okay.
Novel was what was before Active Directory came in from Microsoft.
Okay.
Novel was called the landlords, LAN, right? So they had the whole networking with them, and I did that, and then that's when NT and other things were coming from Microsoft. So I went and did a MCSA, on the Windows NT side, right? So this is 99, 2000, that came. But the defining moment where I felt that I can do more, coming from an engineering background, I always thought I'll be a techie, but somewhere I thought on what I've been doing the last 2.5 decades is, getting to consult, right? So my dad was in sales. He was in a large pharma company. Probably sales was a little bit in me, but what I thought is, it's not just about, it's about the consultative sales, right? What we call as solution sales that really got me in, and that's where I've been in the industry for the last 26 years. And probably that triggered to me saying, knowing technology, but how do you now translate that to a customer's requirement? I was also educated somewhere the difference between need and want.
Yes.
Right? So, I was attending one of those sessions when I was in the Microsoft partner organization. I attended this training from Microsoft where, somebody came in from US, and this is how we explained, right? A consultant is somebody like a surgeon, right? Now, what does a surgeon do if you go with a wound? He doesn't take out a needle and suture it. He probably go a little deep inside to excavate to see if there are any foreign articles there. Takes time and then does the stitching in, right? So this is what I learned from that session, right? A consultant is somebody who kind of not just do a knee-jerk reaction to a situation or a challenge by giving a solution, but go a little more deeper, a little more wider, to see what are the related challenges, and then possibly lean in on to what the solution could be. So some of those early learnings that I had.
That's an interesting perspective, Anish. And moving a little bit now, talking about your decision making in your educational journey, I feel it is really important what kind of small decisions we make while we are studying, maybe what we are studying, whom we are spending time with, and what are those areas or people around you who inspires you. Those are very crucial part of our journey. And knowing the fact, and you just mentioned that you did your graduation in electronics and communication. How did you shift the gears? What were those important decisions where you shift the gears from there to in IT and the business leader in IT?
It was gradual. It was not a 0-day start or a stop. But this is what fascinated me. It was more the communication part of electronics and communication that I really, liked getting in. But the early days of what I learned, I did that SSI course in VB Oracle. It looks like a long back. Then I did those networking courses. What I really thought was I need to learn more. I had few good mentors, friends that I grew up my professional career with. They're still around with us in Microsoft. I still remember my first job. We used to sit, every Saturdays till night to, after work hours, 6 to 9, just sitting and learning, okay, what is TCP/IP, what is IPv4, IPv6. I was curious, and, thankfully, my friend Anand, he took interest. He was a bachelor and so was I. We had time at our hand.
Right.
Sundays afternoon, before hitting a movie, we would always sit and, try understanding some of these nuances.
Right.
And that's something that I carried forward in my work when I said, hey, knowing just what you need to sell or what you need to consult is not enough. You need to know the adjacencies. And that's something, and I always believe that when you give something free, you get a lot of things free,
Yes.
right? When I said free, it's more about the knowledge, right? The knowledge spiral is what I would probably urge everyone to look up. It's written by 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏. What it says that in a knowledge spiral, you need a saint and a miner. So if there are no saints who will give, there are no miners. And if there are no miners, saints will not just give out freely, right? So something you can all look up on what the knowledge spiral is. But that's something that it always stayed with me to say that what you get, you share, and I'm sure you get more, right? That's the philosophy that I live in.
Wow, that's such a interestingly and beautifully you described it. I mean, otherwise what happens is we all think in one single chain of thought and try to achieve everything by ourselves, but we can look for the help. There should be people who are there to help you. Now, Anish, talking about your education and early career, were there any setbacks? And if there were any setbacks, I would like to know what were those habits and mindset which kept you going in those times?
Well, I'll talk a little bit of my, in career, right? There was this large deal that we were looking at closing for probably 3 months, like 4 days or a week, just focused on that. It's Christmas time. We have a handshake before Christmas. And then on the Christmas day, get to hear that the deal is not happening. There's some business case the customer has decided, saying they want to look for some more time to conclude. It was very disappointing because it was a little celebratory mood all around Christmas time. And but what I learned then was you put in a lot of effort until then. It's not about unlearning them or doing it, doing it differently, but learn from those. What could have been different? What could have been a value prop that could have been different that we can offer to a customer? And it took another 6 months and a similar effort, but the rewards was a great outcome that I didn't feel that okay, we missed it by 6 months. It was a great outcome. So all I would say is, yes, we would have setbacks, small or big, but stay at it. Learn from what probably could have been different. We are not in a utopian world saying that everything will be good, but you do take in the learnings, but be at it, right? Be at it to get to the outcome.
Thank you for sharing that, because all of us need to hear this every single time we feel that we are not doing that great and maybe just hitting those minor failures. I would not even call any failure as a major failure there, but thank you, Anish, for mentioning that. Anish, now moving towards a little bit of your career in Microsoft, because I have a lot of questions to ask around this area. And how was it for you? Like how you landed your job in Microsoft, I can say. Was it something that you were always eyeing on or planning to achieve, or it just happened to you?
Great question. So it's my 26th year selling Microsoft.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first company I started in when I was in Kochi, a company called Integral Solutions, when we were like software reselling company.
Right.
Microsoft was our leading partner. Probably that got into my blood then. The blood is still a little blue by that matter. But what happened was, my initial 3-5 years that I worked, and I got into Wipro, and I was hired into Wipro to start what we called then was a Microsoft business unit for the India and the Middle East regions that Wipro operated. I was employee number 1, and that helped me to what we call as startups today. But that was the mentality we started, where we had a baseline zero. Company had a vision to partner with Microsoft, and I had the opportunity to hire my peers, hire a large team. So in 5 years, we had grown our business like 20x time, being the largest partner to Microsoft. Microsoft didn't have too many employees like what we have today. So knew most of them, if not all of them, in each of the cities, worked very closely. So Microsoft was very close to my heart, and on the values and the vision that the Bill Gates had and what we have now, it really motivated me to stay very glued on to Microsoft. As part of my career aspiration in Wipro, I got a role to move to the UK. I was based in Reading. Cloud is just coming in. I would say when 2009 this was mentioned to me, cloud was not even in a PPT. Okay, it was not even a PPT where to even think about. So I moved to the UK to manage the cloud pre-sales for Western Europe for Wipro, and then I figured out that there was a vacuum in me because there was nothing cloud for Microsoft in 2010. And so we went with the other technology partners a little around, did few wins, but then I realized that the pull that we have when we talk Microsoft and when we talk to enterprise, and Microsoft has been relevant to the enterprise for the last 50 years, right? There's no other company in tech that's been so relevant. That got me to talk to my colleagues or my friends in Microsoft back in India to say, hey guys, I'm sure you would have been doing something with cloud, what is that? And I started learning from them. And the second year of my stint in UK, I just did cloud, and those was private cloud, Office 365 was not launched. Azure was not even thought about in 2010-11. I got some of those early wins for Wipro and cloud in Europe, talking to the large enterprises there. That was a moment where it said, okay, Microsoft is still relevant. That's when few of my colleagues, known acquaintances in Microsoft said, hey, there's a job in Microsoft, do you want to come? And I still remember, it took me about 45-50 days until I got one last call from a hiring manager saying, hey, do you want to come? Because I'm not going to wait till, for another 24 hours. If you're not coming, we're going with some other candidate. And that's when, it struck me to say, okay, because I just moved with my family to the UK, it was a new place, just got acquainted, 2 years, settled down. And that's when, this offer came. And I was indecisive for about 45 days. But then I decided that I'll come. I made my resume after like 7-8 years. I made my resume. I joined Microsoft. And, from there was no turning back, right? While, it was, the other tough decision was those wins that we had on cloud were really pioneering. I got some, top awards in Europe. It was very difficult for, to take such a decision when you are really doing good. And then moving back to India, convincing family. There are a lot of things that are around, but yeah, I don't think so. I've looked back from then.
Wow, I mean, I'm literally feeling like I'm experiencing what you experienced in past. And Anish, this looks like you did not follow the job. It landed at your doorstep. You took the decision basis what you're doing. Is it relevant to your role there in past? And we are glad to have you, by the way. Very relevant question to this one. When you joined Microsoft, Anish, was it the working culture, the people, environment, everything? Was it different than other companies? And if it was, how?
Well, this is my first 90 days in Microsoft. My hiring manager, Kalyan, right? So he said, Anish, you know Microsoft very well. I'm sure you have the urge to just jump in and go meet customers who you also know. But take the first 30 days, 60 days to know the Microsoft culture inside out, right? It was and it is a lot different because what we experience in Microsoft, it's not what we often see or hear outside.
Definitely.
Right? So I still remember devouring Frank Shaw, our chief storyteller, right? Videos of him and our culture and those parts that Microsoft has been really grounded. And I still remember saying that, hey, you go through all this, get yourself acquainted, get yourself, accustomed to the way we talk, we consult, we be in front of customer. That is very important. It's not about whether somebody knows Microsoft technology or not, somebody knows customer or not, but get grounded. So I always feel that whenever we hire people, they spend that 30 days, 60 days everybody will have like, let me roll my sleeves, let me jump into meetings, but get accustomed. That's something that I would really, really recommend to anybody who's joining Microsoft.
Thank you for mentioning that, because those first couple of weeks, it stayed with us, and that stays with us for life, I would say. And it also tells us whether I'm going to thrive at this place. And I'm pretty sure what you did after that, it all happened to be in place for you at Microsoft and for the Microsoft as well, the kind of space you made it for people. Now, Anish, moving to my next question, I think when it comes to that one single moment, there could be one moment or one person or the job role at Microsoft. You have done multiple roles. You wore different hats at Microsoft. Was there a moment where you felt like, okay, yeah, this is where I belong?
There have been moments and wins that we have had, but if I had to really look back the last 13, 14 years that I've been here, each year we had our own, the role might look the same, it might have changed designation or, the solution areas that we work in Microsoft, but each year had its own challenge, right? So it's about, I've done most of my career with modern work, what we call as the AI workforce solution area today. That's what I did from, I keep telling FY12, so it's 2012 to 2019, and then I did a left shift, got into the world of Azure. It was something that I did on the private cloud side when I was in Wipro, but when we started looking at our own cloud, our public cloud offering, it was different than what that private clouds were. So that was a learning that I had, and the opportunity that we have in Microsoft is we have such diverse teams that we have representing different facets of technology, right? So it allowed me to now then, like that, I've joined a new company, but we'll still see the same settings, same colleagues, same mentors, same managers around, but to get to learn totally a new business, right? So that's something that I really reveled in. And then after about 11, 12 years, I felt been in solution sales, and there was an opportunity provided on from an account management for some large accounts for us in India. I took that as an opportunity because I wanted to get a little out of my comfort zone to say that, yes, you've been in sales, but in solution sales, can I get into account management and that part? So did that for about 18 months. And then a totally different part of Microsoft, which was what we call as ISD, Industry Solutions Delivery, which is Microsoft Consulting, did that for a year. So those were, I would say, different learnings, but grounded in the same culture, the same vision, same purpose that we live at Microsoft, but being able to look at different roles and how we can help customers to achieve more.
Right. Thank you so much for mentioning that, Anish. And moving towards your personal journey, while you were working for Microsoft altogether, did Microsoft contributed in changing Anish as a person in personal life?
A lot, because one thing that Microsoft and the colleagues around me and my managers have taught me is, and this is what I would recommend to anybody who's working, not just in Microsoft, across organization, have always a bold, shiny goal with you, right? Yeah, you would have a short-term, mid-term, long-term, but let's say if you are in a fiscal year that you are working, let's say we are in FY26, what would you want to FY26 to be remembered for you, for your own self?
Right.
What is that magnum opus moment that you would want to achieve as you execute the next 12 months? Right? Aspiring a shiny goal is one, but the most important, the next part to it is, which itself is a big one, right? You don't aspire moon. It's like the moon shots, right? You don't aim for the moon. You don't land up in the terrace, right? So you need to really be aspirational in what those shiny goals are. But how do you then execute, right? If you look at a Gartner's quadrant, the X and Y axis, it talks about the vision and the ability to execute.
Yes.
Now, if you don't put up your execution plan to the shiny goal that you have for the year, or for the short term or the midterm, then 100% of the time you'll fail, right? Because you're not then applying. You need to put up an execution plan that would be challenging. Right. It might sound not very real, but that's when, the next step towards reaching that goal is, how do you start scheming for it? How do you do that on a daily basis? How do you approach a fail fast, learn fast mode, right? So that's one it. And I'll again come back to that part that really grounded me in my life is, be humble about what you're doing.
Yes.
Right? So you can have an aspiration goal, you can have some crazy plans to execute. At the same time, be humble. I'm sure, you'll be successful most of the time, if not all.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned about learnings. This is one of the most curious question I have to ask you, Anish. I know how dynamic your workplace looks like. But whenever I join any of the learning session, I see you there. If I am joining the knowledge sharing session, I see you there. Not only that, if there are any team building activity, team level, org level, you are the first one to come and last one to leave. How you manage to do all of that on the same day where you are wearing the business hat, where you are wearing a friend's hat, or a colleague, or a manager, or mentor? I would love to know how day in a life of Anish looks like.
Well, wearing the hat at Microsoft and in technology industry, which is fast evolving, this is what I do. I do a lot of reading. First, of course, there's a lot of things that Microsoft updates on a daily basis, right? So before I hit bed, and I definitely go into some of these, MSFT stock apps, which would give me the highlights of what happened in the day. Right. But I also keep an eye out for how industry is evolving and changing. So couple of apps that I really go to is the Register, Verge, that gives a very little unbiased view, a little round the industry, different parts of tech. So that's where I probably keep my learnings from, to get diverse view. Of course, these days I've also switched on to Copilot, and Copilot being multi-modal, I've been switching on to my the voice mode more often than not now. But that's where I keep up learning and yes, as I said, I love to be in company of people. So I try to get people together, whether it is for more formal sessions like what we have at like a sales kickoff, or it could be a festival that we are celebrating, or just a a weekend Friday night gathering. I always feel very happy and comfortable when you have people around. Share some lighter moments, celebrate. That's something that we need to do more often than what we are doing now. It needs to be balanced.
Right. That sounds balanced and not overwhelming day, to be honest. And now moving towards the next part, Anish, if you are talking to a young professional who is starting their journey right now, what would you like them to understand about teamwork and leadership? Because I feel these areas are oftenly overlooked when we start our journey. We focus on skills, we focus on learnings, all that, and all that is important. But what would you want them to understand about teamwork?
Well, I would probably prompt everyone, and everyone in Microsoft knows this. When we are reviewed for our performance, we call that the Connect, right? And when we do our performance reviews, one thing that's really stands out as we start filling in that Connect is we have those 3 circles. Now, the first circle is, of course, your core responsibility that you have for the role, but not very strangely, which I learned over the years, it's by design that we have the second and third circle also of the same size as the first. And the second circle, in a simple terms, is how did you take help of others to achieve your goal? And the third circle is the mirror, how have you helped others achieve their goals? I have never seen a parallel to this, right? In the industry, we've got a lot of friends working across companies, but this really gets to our fabric to say that you're not going to get a high rating because you have done your core responsibility on your own. It's about how you have helped and how you get help, how you take help. And believe me, the last 14 years, it's been always difficult to write how you have helped and how you've taken. Your core responsibility, you have a lot of things to write and discuss, but this becomes a very difficult proposition to put pen to paper. But that's really, I would say, the differentiator, say that. And in metrics organization like Microsoft, it's very, very important that you keep those three circles going, at the same pace.
Yes. I think this is extremely relatable. I know how we keep on doing what we are doing, and then end of the year we realize, okay, how much we helped others, and when and where we seek help from our teammates. Thank you for mentioning that, Anish. Now, second part, Anish, when it comes to people seeing you from outside, maybe your colleague, maybe somebody from the business social media that looking at the success part of your journey, every successful journey always has some setback, some rough patches, some unexpected turns, I would say. I would like to know, how did you manage to get through the rough patches in your career? Because this is what our listeners would love to understand, how to keep themselves going.
Well, it would be not true to say that we never had a rough patch. Each one of us have, right? But that's when you get back to basics.
Right.
You get back to, and I would urge each of us to have mentors. They could be inside your own organization or outside. One thing, one of my close friend, who we keep talking to each other a lot, said that maybe we can't change ourselves, but we can put efforts to refine ourselves. The way we think, the way we execute, the way we engage, the way we collaborate.
Right.
There's always opportunity to refine. It's difficult to change DNAs to completely take a 180-degree change, but that's something, it stuck to me a lot to say that, well, there are different ways to get things done. So I think it's about being persistent, being rooted to the outcome. I always keep telling that we can all put a lot of efforts, but efforts not culminating to impact, you're not executing well, right? So that's probably, thankfully I had a lot of mentors and I still have them, to talk, to exchange. It could be a weekend call, it could be a situation that you are in, and you ask help, and that itself, you take feedback, you take counsel to say that, hey, this is a situation, what would have you done
in this,
right? That really keeps me, going and trying to tide over those rough patches.
Thank you. This is something we all need to hear once in a while, I feel. On the flip side, Anish, there's always those great wins in life. That could be not a monetary win, but you feel like, okay, I'm extremely proud of this moment. I'm extremely proud of this win. And whenever you think about it, it brings a smile on your face. First question is, would you like to share one of such wins with us, and how you celebrate your wins? Because this is crucial, how we do the celebration of what we did in past.
Well, I'm just reminded of what happened about 11 years back, I think 2014, when Microsoft had just acquired this tool called Yammer, right? And it's now called Viva Engage.
Yes.
But Yammer was a little, totally a enterprise social tool, and Yammer meant, it is called work out loud. It was very different from what we used to do, because we didn't have anything social within the enterprise.
Right.
We were very formal at most of the time, and we didn't have informal channels to communicate. It was email, chat, call, in person, but we didn't have that medium, and we're just coming out of the Orkuts, Facebook was born, right? But we didn't have anything similar to that internally. And we had this goal in FY14 that we had to hit X number of customers with Y number of users active on Yammer. Me and my colleague then, Vedant, we decided that we'll go get that done. And if we get that done, we'll wear green t-shirts on June 30th, which is our fiscal year end.
Nice.
So I still remember, we go shopping on 29th June and wearing those green tees to office just to celebrate that,
You achieved.
this is something that we did for last 6 to 8 months, and
Right.
culmination, it was just symbolic that we won.
Wow. I mean,
A small example that I just got reminded.
no, I mean, going all green and expressing that in a way you did, I don't think I have ever seen anybody so out loud about it. And thank you for sharing that. Anish, we reached to our last question. And then we'll do small rapid fire round. It's a surprise to you, but yeah. My last question is, there are so many students right now, they have dream companies, they have dream jobs to address. But most of us always think, okay, I might not be the right person. I might not be the good enough for that role or job or the org that they are aspiring for. What one message you want to land to them to go ahead and at least try to get that?
I'll start by this. What you know is what you know. What
Yeah.
you don't know, you don't know.
Mhm.
Okay, it's a little philosophical, but if you really look at it, the tools that we have today with AI just all around us, compared to when I started 26 years back, didn't have this opportunity. Internet was just coming up with the resources. You have so much to learn from, reason with, right? That's
Yeah.
that's the whole thing with AI. And you have more sounding boards than you ever wished or had, right? So I would imagine somebody who's getting out of college, or somebody who's been working for a few years, want to think about lateral movement. Everybody can, and what brings Microsoft brings to life when somebody joins in the company is, you could be who you are. You've been hired because of what you did and relevance to the role, and the energy that you bring into the company. But to get there, to get to probably an interviews, to get to probably even thinking about it, do a lot of learning. Do a lot of learning to say that if I were looking for a AI workforce specialist or a solution engineer, if that's what you aspire,
Right.
learn about it. There's tons of content in Microsoft that it's publicly available, that people can easily get access to. Do the certification, get to the fundamentals, right? And I'm sure each of us have our friends or relatives who are working in the tech industry. Talk to them, understand, how you can learn from their experiences. So the point that I'm saying is, it's not about like cramming up for a competitive exam,
Yeah.
but do take an opportunity to learn from people's experience. That will get you to good stead when for your interviewing, when looking up for a job, interviewing for the job, and it tells you, okay, why would you want to apply, and why would somebody hire you, right? So I'm just trying to mix up few of things to say that you need to have that in you.
Yes.
And in the example of me sitting here, out of college, I never dreamt or thought that I would work in Microsoft, but as years went by, my aspirations grew strong, and I had really a strong urge, and otherwise I would be still somewhere in UK now. I would not be back in Bangalore. So that's something that I would recommend everyone to be that. Stay rooted, be open to take learnings and experiences, and take a lot of them. And yes, there's no secret recipe other than that.
Incredible. That's helpful to me, I can say. Now let's get into the rapid fire, Anish. Quick questions. Are you a morning person or night owl?
I'm more night, I would say, but I'm trying to change that. The last year, my day starts, I know it's not quick, but let me just share this.
Yeah, please.
I start my day at 6:30, be with kids until they get to the bus stop, and drop them. That's just my time. My way of bonding with them, though it's short.
Yeah.
My wife always cribs about it. But then I've been thinking about mindfulness to say that how in my day I can get to some part of life where I'm detached from tech. So 7 to 8:30 is where I do my me time. Sometimes so I do my walks, morning walks, and I throw my phone at home. I don't carry that. I have my watch, so it at least records what I do, and some emergency call if somebody has to reach me. But that's where for me to kind of detox.
Yeah.
I get a little slow getting into my meetings after that. But yeah, I would not recommend everybody to do that. But I do a little bit of late evenings in office whenever I'm in town.
Yeah.
That's where I get to do my me work rather than you getting hounded by emails and calls that comes during the day.
That reminds me of SRK, by the way. He always says that he starts working on himself at 12 a.m. till 3 a.m.
Wow.
And I think I'm seeing that in you too. Second, one quote that you follow for life.
Be honest.
Great. Third, a mentor or a leader or any person on the planet that you always admire when you feel low.
There are many in the industry. There are many colleagues, ex-colleagues that you ping, you call, send a message. But I somehow feel there's nobody like your parent, right? Your mom, your dad. That one heartbeat call a day. When you wake up, you drive to work. That's something I would probably weight over anybody else.
I agree. I completely agree, Anish. And if you weren't in tech, what Anish would have been doing right now?
Well, my early career, I was thinking to be a doctor, and that's where I was all in my mind until I joined engineering. So it was a tough decision for me to go out from the bioscience world to the tech world. But
wow. Those are two extreme ends, and good to know that. One last thing, which app you check the moment you get out of your bed?
These days, I get to WhatsApp just to see, there's no surprises, there is no emergency kind of thing.
Right.
But the one that I go out is the the MSN app, the Microsoft Money app that I do track tech industry more than the stock movements, but more on the industry.
And I think that's how you stay relevant. Thank you. Anish, this has been such a rich conversation. Thank you so much for being so honest, candid, and I would think every one of our viewers will get a lot to learn from this discussion. Thank you for taking time, Anish.
Thanks, Vishakha. Thanks for the opportunity and thanks for having me. And hopefully it's an engaging discussion for all of you to listen in. But thanks for having me here today.
Thank you so much, Anish.
Thank you.
This conversation with Anish was a great reminder that staying humble and curious is truly the key to lasting success. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Roots to Wings. We'll see you in the next one.